Welcome to an episode of Founder in the Chair. I'm your host, Vina, and my next guest is a proud father, brother, and son, and an incidental CEO by circumstance. From his early days navigating life's challenges to becoming a visionary entrepreneur, he has built and scaled businesses with a sharp eye for innovation and growth. But beyond the boardroom, he remains deeply connected to his roots, valuing family, resilience, and the lessons that shape both life and leadership. His journey is a testament to the power of adaptability, determination, and an unwavering commitment to making an impact. I would like to welcome to the Founder's Chair, Cas Majid. Welcome.
Hi, Vina. How are you?
I'm good. So nice of you to come down on a long drive.
It's an absolute pleasure. It was a great drive down as well, so it's the motto was clear.
Good, yeah. And it's great weather today.
It's lovely weather, yeah.
So, Cas, tell us a little bit more about you. So for the people who are listening who don't know what you do.
Okay, so I run a group of digital and technology agencies. I've been doing that for 20 years.
Okay.
We have 4 brands in our group of companies.
Okay.
And essentially what we do is, simply put, is really cool, really big websites for brands and also for other agencies. So we have 3 problems that we solve. The first is, please, you can bleep this out, which is our strap line. We get people out of the shit that their freelancer has just dropped them in.
Right.
So agencies will come to us when the freelancer's gone AWOL or gone missing and saying, we're really stuck here, we need to get this project over the line, can you do it? Yes, we can. The second problem that we solve in one of our agencies is if you're a design agency, a creative marketing agency, and you want someone to do the technical heavy lifting, we'll come in and be your partner and do that. And the third problem that we solve is if your incumbent department is stacked out with loads of work, we'll come in and give you a helping hand. So that's what we've done. It took me about 15 years to figure out what we're really good at.
Yeah.
We used to do lots of different things.
Yeah.
And then in 2015, we did 21 pitches and lost every one of them. And I thought, we're not going to do this again. So we looked at our business, and what I started right at the beginning in 2002 when the web was just started to mature. I used to go to graphic design agencies. You do graphics. Why don't you partner with us and do web? So we thought, actually, there's a lot of agencies out there that are really struggling with really good, reliable, rock-solid technical people.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. We're techies, essentially. And then in our other businesses, we've got another agency that specialises in a certain technology. I bought a creative agency in the pandemic in 2020, which has been around for over 40 years now. It was started by a lady in a little village called Malvern in Worcestershire, lovely part of the world.
Okay.
That's why I bought it, actually, because you can go up and see the hills and stuff, because I like to go outdoors. And that business has been repositioned now to look after the hospitality, leisure and sport industry. And the reason why I tagged on sport is because I love sport. I played sport and done combat sports since I was from a very young age. So I've got a lot of kind of contacts in that arena. So I thought, might as well do something that I really enjoy and do something for those. Yeah. So we and I've had lots of scars over the years in business. So
do you want to share a scar?
So many. There's so many. You know, I think it's the classic business journey. You know, you start off. Yeah. You know, you're wondering where your next, penny's going to come from. I remember coming home one day, sat on my dining table.
Yeah.
And I literally had £5.72 in my pocket, and it was coming to the end of the month, and I had to pay 2 people at the time. When we got 2 people, I was like, how are we going to do this? And I suppose you just get through those things. Something happened, some money had landed, and we were okay. But it's been there's lots of different stories and lots of different scars. Being burnt by people, you thought you put your faith in people. You take them on board, you give them a good salary, and then the next thing you know, they've left and they're taking customers with them. So you go through this whole life cycle of thing. And I think most entrepreneurs have to go through that journey. And everyone's journey and path is very much different in terms of the time scale.
Yes.
The issues are probably, a lot of them, the same.
Yeah.
But actually the time scales is different for different people. I think mine probably dropped I'm thinking actually I'm actually okay now. It's probably about 17 or 18 years in. Whereas
Right.
some people, it might be just 5 years.
Yes.
And I think in a world of social media now where we, it's comparison is the thief of all joy, isn't it? You look at other people and you just see a window of
Yeah.
what's going on, thinking, I want a bit of that. But
But
actually,
it's what they choose to show you as
it is,
well.
and we all do it.
Yes.
We all do it,
Yeah.
but behind that window there's a life with many different ups and downs and kind of happiness and sadness and joy and thrilling and all that kind of stuff. So it's been a very amazing journey, but I feel truly, truly blessed.
So when things go bad, go wrong, how do you motivate yourself? How do you pick yourself back up again?
Well, I'm a believer that I've got no choice. If you have, because a lot of people talk about plan B or plan C, which is a good thing, but when I went into business, there was no plan B. That was it. It was, I'm going to do it, or I'm going to fall flat on my backside. So when things go wrong, I think now, if you asked me that a couple of years ago, because I was going through quite a few different things in my life, personal life. My mother had just passed away in the pandemic. I had a very, very big court case going on in the business. I had some issues with the business partner at the time. My father wasn't well. There was loads. And then at the time, my ex-wife, she was going through cancer treatment. So it was quite a lot of things. So I was having to navigate all those things that happened all at once. And actually a friend of mine said something that was quite poignant. He said, the things that have happened to you the last 2 years normally happen to people over a lifetime.
Yes.
And they happened all of a sudden.
Yeah.
How did I get through that? I really leant into my faith at the time
Okay.
and just thought, you know what? I'm just going to try and let go. It was not easy,
Yeah.
but every day I made it through, and it's just a matter about grinding through. Sometimes you just got to get up. And what I learned through that was something really, really powerful, is that all too often what you'll find is that people look too far ahead. What I mean by that is, when you look too far ahead, it's great to have big goals, but when you look too far ahead, you become overwhelmed.
Yes.
And when you become overwhelmed, you start procrastinating.
Yeah.
So, and then you start doing nothing.
Yeah.
So what you've got to do is just do the next thing.
That's your
Just
top
get
tip.
up. Just do the next thing. Get up, even if it is making a cup of tea or going to the gym or sending that email. Just do the next thing. So long as it's taking you towards that goal and away from where you are currently, just do the next thing, because that's all you can do.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, as there's that saying, isn't there? Just see the next step, take the next step. The stairs will all start emerging.
Yeah.
What is the one thing that you're most proud of in your career?
In my career,
Okay.
I think the biggest thing that I'm proud of, I've done lots of things and had lots of positions, lots of privileged positions, and I've sat with the captains of industry. I've sat with, MPs and prime ministers and all that kind of stuff. I've been very, very fortunate in my career for people to ask my advice. I think looking back on my career, the biggest thing and the proudest moment is actually a chap that we took on. He came to us through a scheme where he was finding it difficult at school because he was being really badly bullied. The first day that I walked into the office, he really shuddered when he saw me. And I always have a test of young people. What I do is I give them a list, and I used to give them some money and get them to go to the shop and see if they can bring all the stuff back. So we worked with him, and we found out he was really, really good at picking things up from a technical and an SEO perspective. Back then we used to do SEO.
Okay.
And he was very good at maths.
Okay.
So we started to mentor him, and when he left us, so he left us and then came back. So he left us to go off and do an apprenticeship, and he did an apprenticeship, and then I got an email a couple of years later saying, "Oh, I'm looking for an opportunity. Do you fancy, have you got anything going?" So I said, "Come in and see us." So he came in and saw us, and this was probably when he was about 16 or 17 now. He came to us when he was 14. just to do some part-time stuff. It was a kind of a scheme with an organisation we'd partner with, and he came on board, and he left us when he was 21.
Okay.
And so when he left us when he was 21, he was in a band.
Wow.
He was regularly playing football with us. He was really good at his job,
Okay.
and he went out and started travelling.
Brilliant.
Which was from where he was. I can't
Yeah.
explain to you how withdrawn he was to where he became, and he's now working in a company. He's smashing it. He really is. So that's probably one of my proudest moments. And actually we won Apprentice of the Year,
Brilliant.
which was amazing story, and it's probably one of the proudest things that we've done as a company.
So you mentioned you had this thing with young people. You give them a list.
Yeah.
So explain that. What does it do?
So it's just a list of items,
Okay.
and I used to give them 20 quid and say go and get them from the shop
Okay.
to see if they've got the confidence to go and do it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So that was the list of things, and you'd be surprised, Vina. You'd be absolutely surprised how many of them, because we've had quite a few
Yeah.
young people come through our business to train and do some kind of internships and all. You'll be absolutely shocked that some of them will just miss stuff off the list.
Wow. So that's the test.
Yeah,
it's just that they can just go and do it.
Yeah, just go off their own back and here's a list and go and get this, and this.
Yeah.
And might be 5 or 6 items.
Yeah.
And some would come back with like 3, or
Yeah.
some will come back with all of them with the wrong thing. It was, yeah.
So if they came back with only 3, for example,
Yeah.
out of 6, what does that tell you then?
It tells me probably need to do some work on their attention to detail, what they need to do. Are they nervous? Did they panic? And how we can make sure that they understand that sometimes you have to follow instructions to get to a certain place or do a certain thing, because, with customers, particularly, you're under the microscope all the
Yeah.
time, particularly now.
Yeah.
They will notice everything because the customer is educated now. They're digital savvy, they're operation savvy, and half the time customers are testing you to see what your knowledge is like, and actually what you're doing. When a customer pays you, they're paying you for your service, but actually they're paying you for an exchange of trust.
Yeah.
I trust you
Yeah.
to do this work, and I'm proving that by being a good customer, by using you as a supplier
Yeah.
and a partner, but also I trust you with my business.
Yeah. Interesting. So we could use this with adults as well.
And you'll be surprised how many adults don't get it as well. In fact, I would say the younger generation are much better than adults sometimes, because, as adults, we're fixed in our ways. Yeah. So unlearning that is sometimes
Yeah.
very difficult.
Maybe give adults 20 items on the list. Just going back to something you said earlier about freelancers.
Yeah.
So these days it's like go on something like Fiverr and find somebody to do work for them, and then you're there forever, and then sometimes you just give up because they just haven't understood you.
Yeah.
How does that impact your business? Because there must be lots of people saying, well, I don't want to pay your prices because I can go to Fiverr.
Well, if you pay cheap, you always buy twice. Yeah. So people come to us because we're going to extort them because they're in trouble, because we don't do that at all, because you're only going to do that once. They come to us because they really are in the dire, and the proverbial's hitting the fan. Their customers are saying to them, where is it? And the freelancer's gone AWOL. So in terms of price, it's all about value.
Yeah.
It's about the value that you bring. And actually, sometimes we're like the emergency services for other agencies, the way we come in and sort the problem out. And the proverbial for a short while diverts to us. But actually, in that, because we understand agencies and what they're thinking and how they're reacting to things on a day-to-day basis, we can put ourselves in their shoes, because one of our values is empathy. So our values are brave, bold and empathetic. So
Nice.
so we try to always put ourselves in our colleagues and our customers' shoes.
Yeah.
But in terms of price is normally the third or the fourth thing on the list. People want to know whether or not you can solve their problem.
Because these days, like, you get bombarded on social media.
You do.
We can get you this many leads,
Yeah.
and we'll do your ads for you, and we'll guarantee this, or you don't pay us. And as a company, you're just so confused. You don't know who to go with. How do you deal with people like that? Because sometimes they've been burnt, obviously.
Yeah. And we're very mindful of that. You know, we get customers all the time that have all been burnt. We just took on one last week, been burnt 3 or 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a matter of saying to them and being real. I mean, I'm a northern guy, so you have to be real and be honest with them and say, look, there's going to be some bumps in the road. There's going to be some issues, but you can have my personal guarantee that when those issues arise, that we will be by your side, because we look at it as our business is, it sounds a bit cliche, is your business, but it really is. And my team really truly understand that, you know, that actually we're doing this for a reason, and is to help our customers and the brands that we work with, really to help them elevate their business. Yeah.
How do you build that culture in your team?
You
know, for them to be so empathetic.
You've got to over communicate and repeat yourself over and over again. As a leader, you've got to keep on banging the same drum if you totally and utterly believe in what you do. It's like business, right? If you've got an idea and you really believe in that idea, the first person is not going to buy it. It might be the 100th person or the 500th person, you know, but you just got to keep banging the drum. And I keep banging the drum, and people are fed up of it, but I don't care.
Yeah.
Because we're doing it for the right reason.
Yeah.
You know, over and over again. And like on the phone calls down today, it was just about, it's in our actions. Culture is not about having a bar in your office and having free drinks and free coffees and going out on a Friday afternoon and doing all these things that you might think builds culture. Actually, that doesn't build culture. Culture is built when you've got people, you've got leaders in your business that will step up and say, actually, I'll deal with that. And then that permeates across everyone. And to build that takes a lot of time. It takes an inordinate amount of energy. And you've got to repeat it over and over and over again.
Do you take the time to get to know your members of staff individually?
We do. I do. I make a point of that. I'm probably not the best at it, if I'm honest. And that's kind of a flaw in me. But I do try and speak to them on a regular basis and see them. We're fully remote now, which doesn't make it easier or harder, because we were remote before the pandemic.
Okay.
Part it was kind of hybrid, but we're now fully remote because we've made the conscious decision that we're going to pick the very best people, and the very best people are all over the place.
Yeah.
And in different countries. So we've got people in 4 or 5 different continents, so working for us, and they work directly for us for our business. So time zones and all that kind of stuff. And we've got customers in the UK, we've got customers in the US, we've got customers in Europe. So we have to ensure that we're all collectively together. But 9:15 every morning, we have a stand-up meeting. They call it stand-up meeting in our industry.
Okay.
Not that they stood up, they're behind the screen, you know. So we have a stand-up meeting, and I'm usually in those meetings, and I make sure that everyone's in that meeting, because it might be that operations hears something that's going on in delivery, and that will have an impact, or finance hears something that's going on in marketing. You know, so for everyone to hear, I'm a really big advocate of that. So everyone has a clear understanding of, as much as possible, of what's going on across the business.
Yeah, rather than Chinese whispers, same message all at the same time.
You always get it, because that's what people, that's what people do.
It's human nature.
We always make assumptions, right?
Yeah, or like by the time it's passed to the 10th person, it's something completely different.
You've got to deal with facts and the truth. You've got to get to the truth fast in business.
Yeah.
Because if you don't get to the truth fast, you won't get the right outcome. And it's the same in life.
Yeah, of course. So what's your vision like in the next few years? What's going to happen
for the business?
Yes.
You know, every time I've done that, Vina, every time I've had a vision, or I've got a vision and I've got a goal, and the goal is to exit in the next 5 to 8 years.
Okay.
And create something and buy more agencies across the UK,
Right.
and build them as part of our group of companies.
Okay.
And they're all working together, and it's all homogenous, and everything's working like in utopia. They've got this vision of perfection, which is a tough place to be.
Yes.
For a long time in my career, I was always like searching for perfect. And actually, you shouldn't make good the enemy of perfect. It's one of those sayings, which has taken a long time to get to that. But still, we strive to be better every day. And I don't think I'll ever retire. It's just not in me.
So what will you do then in 5 to 8 years?
I'll still advise
Yes.
businesses, because I've got a wealth of knowledge, over 25 years now. And I'll still advise agencies on what to do. And I'll probably just climb mountains as well. Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Climb mountains, just
Yeah.
like that. And so, Cas, how do you define happiness?
It's a really good question. I think most people misinterpret joy for happiness. And I think happiness, for me, is understanding that life is full of ups and downs and sadness, because without sadness, you can't have happiness. And happiness, to me, is being at one with yourself. It's not in... And we mistake happiness for... And we attach things to happiness. Like, if I have this car, or if I buy this watch, or if I buy this house, that's when I'll get happy. Or if I get this money in my bank account, that's when I'll be happy. Actually, happiness is none of that. Happiness is about being at one with yourself. And for me, particularly, for me in my personal journey, it's very much about the submission to God. The moment you submit, on the other side of submission in your faith is actually contentment. And contentment is happiness. And so if you leave everything to God, obviously work hard, do what you need to do, but if you leave everything to God and you practice your faith, whatever it is, and you understand that actually it will, whatever will be, and you've done whatever you can, that actually the contentment part is actually the bit that people and human beings are looking for. Because happiness, I think, it's been plagiarized, thinking that happiness is something that you have on a Friday night. It's not. Happiness is being content with yourself, and being content and being one with what you've done and everything that you've done in terms of your effort and your determination to do something. And it hasn't worked out, that's fine. It took me a long time to get to that. A long time. Many years.
Do you feel that's what happens when we get a bit older and we're just like much life experience
I
by
think
then?
it does.
Yeah.
I think it does. And I think it's about not giving a damn
Yeah.
of what other people think.
Yeah.
When you get to that place.
Yeah.
And that's why people say I still need to be a bit more risque with my social media, because I can be quite controversial type character. But yes, it's fear. It's the lack of being, the fear of judgment stifles happiness.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the amount of people say is, oh, you just go on social media and you say what you want to say, and I'm too scared, and what are people going to think? And I'm like, you give yourself so much importance that people actually care. You think they're sitting there just talking about you and only you, when they're just sort of scrolling past you.
And it really is the stories that you create in your own head that gets you in your own way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen your social media, and it's great. Like, you do it in different ways, and it's really nice that someone just shows up for themselves.
Yeah. And I think that's really important,
Yeah.
But also, I think, coming back to that point, is I find a lot of joy and a lot of happiness in seeing other people happy. So in the service of others, because the more you give, the more you get back.
100%.
And the secret to that is, it's not by me giving you something and expecting, I'm going to get something back from you, Vina. No, it's about giving without intention. That's the secret. So the law of reciprocity is about giving without expecting anything in return.
A lot of people don't get that, though.
No, they don't.
Which is really sad. Really sad. So, Cass, you said about climbing mountains. What is your passion, or is there a few things?
It's a really interesting question. I've studied the word passion.
Okay.
Because a few years ago I had to do a presentation. I was on the board of a school, and one of their values was passion. So the CEO of the Academy of Schools is a good friend of mine, who's actually instantly moved to Dubai, and he said, "Oh, I want you to do a presentation on one of our values, passion." I was like, "What a difficult question! What a difficult thing to do a presentation on." So I went and did some research on it,
Yeah.
and actually, it was really, really fascinating. The word passion comes from a Greek word called passio,
Okay.
and passio means to suffer.
Oh.
Yeah. So if you think about anything in life that you have a passion for,
Yes.
you have to go through some suffering. And the greatest suffering, that's why in the Bible you've got passion of Christ, is the suffering of Christ. But one of the greatest passions that we know every day, someone has passion, is your mother. What kind of suffering does your mum have to go through to bring you up?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They go through hell
Yeah.
for their children,
Yeah.
right? And the sleepless nights, the not knowing that maybe the child gets ill. So that's one of the greatest sufferings in life. That's one of the greatest passions of life. So my passion really in life is to do what I'm doing right now, and to get it out to as many people as possible, our message of our business. And also for me personally, it's really about how many people can we help to improve their lives. And that's my passion. And that takes a lot of energy, and it takes a lot of suffering. Anyone that's got a passion for something will go through a lot of suffering to get to the other side. So that's kind of my philosophy on passion. And a lot of people don't know that. And I actually spoke to a young lady a couple of weeks ago. I was on a hike, and I said, she said, I'm doing a thing on podcasts on purpose and passion. And I asked her, do you know what passion is? She's the only person that straight off the bat said, yeah, it means suffering.
I've learned something new today.
Yeah.
And you're right, because when you're so passionate about something, you're going to go through everything to get there. And there's suffering along the way. Yeah, so that's totally makes sense.
Yeah.
So if there's someone listening now, other founders who need help with their business, do you just work with big businesses, medium, small? How could someone contact you for help?
Well, obviously I'm on my social media, so they can connect me across there on that. Obviously we have a target audience, which is other agencies that we work with. And so if you're an agency and you need some technical help, that's where we'll come in and help them. But obviously we're not doing a sales pitch here. But I just want to connect with really, really good people. Surround yourself with people that have better skills than you. My late father, who passed away last year in May, was my hero. He always used to say three things. The first is always play the game with people that are better than you, because that's how you raise your game.
Yeah.
If you're the smartest person in the room, you need to get out, because you're not going to learn nothing.
Yeah.
And always leave people better off than when you first found them.
Yeah.
And he drilled that into me, and I drilled that into my son as well, my daughter, because I just think they're really good things to live by, those three things. And if you're a business owner, large or small, I'm speaking to businesses all the time, and you want to reach out and you want some advice. I may not have the right answers. I'll have an opinion, but ultimately, it's about, like I said right at the beginning, if someone's stuck right now, just do the next thing.
Yeah. And there's so many business founders, even when they agree to come on here, normally it's I'm nervous, I don't know what to say, and then it's like they have so much to say.
So much to say, yeah.
And before you know it, they're telling their whole business story, their personal story, because the personal story is obviously always connected to the business story.
Yeah.
And it's just so nice to hear it, and that's it. They've just got to take that step to even come here.
I absolutely love hearing people's stories, Because the world is built on stories, right?
Yeah. That's exactly why this started as well. Maybe I was a bit nosy. I don't know. But then it's also my background. I was taught to absolutely draw information out of people. That was a sales background in a past life.
Yeah.
But you learn so much.
I think, if you're not asking questions, one of the things that I always talk about is the hardest thing to do is the simple thing. Getting up, going to the gym every morning, eating well, getting good sleep, making that call, sending that email, having that difficult conversation. Sales is, sales, they say it's really difficult, but actually, if you think about it in principle, it's very simple. And we complicate things, and the reason why we complicate things is because we're procrastinating, because of fear. We're scared of someone else's opinion. We're scared of rejection. We're scared of what people might think of us. So the hardest thing to do is normally the simple things. And if you do the simple things, the basic things, over and over again, and you refine it as you go along, iterate it, there is no way you will never not be successful.
Why are people so scared of the word sales?
It's a really good question. I think inherently, if I think deeply about it, it's a really good question. Very good question. Because it involves money, and we have I think, a broken relationship with money. I think people don't want to say no to people in fear of...
or they don't want to be rejected.
Don't want to be rejected if you're selling. But I think fundamentally is that we want to be in control and make our own choice. And I think the best salespeople consult and they give you all the options and focus on the problem that they need to solve for you. I don't know any entrepreneur that won't buy something if just for the hell of it. It buys something, it either fulfills an emotional need or it sorts a problem out.
Yeah.
If it sorts a problem out, then the value in it is huge, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, and I think salespeople get a really bad name, but actually they're just trying to do a job. I always try to give people the opportunity when they call me. Yeah.
To sell to.
They're trying to do a job, aren't they?
Yeah, and I just think if you get to know the person, you're going to solve that problem.
Yeah.
The pain point's then gone, and then, like you said, the value is whatever
and
you
the other
put
thing,
on
Nina,
it.
is if they're good,
Yeah.
that's a recruit, right? You offer them a job.
Yes. I do that as well. It's like if I go somewhere for a beauty treatment and they're really good, I'm like, so have you thought about a new job?
Yeah.
I've got a clinic.
Yeah.
Would you like a job? Yeah. I mean, my background's sales, and I always say to people, if you've just listened, like you've got 2 ears, listen, use them in proportion,
Yeah.
listen more, talk less, and then once you've listened to everything they've said, it's so much easier to make that sell.
100%. And always be the last person to speak.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
So if anyone wants to get hold of you, how do they get hold of you? Social media, website, LinkedIn?
Yeah, I think mainly from my social media at Cas Majid, I think it is, on Instagram. I've recently come on TikTok.
Have you? Okay.
Yeah, I've been strong armed to going on to TikTok.
Okay.
I'm on TikTok somewhere as well.
Is that the same name?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
We'll put all the links below anyway.
Yeah, put all the links below. And my main kind of social media platform is LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah.
And would you say LinkedIn is the best one for your type of business? Because everyone always just thinks, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. Which one should we go on?
You should always have the way I look at it is you should always have a hero social media platform and a triangle. So the top of our triangle is LinkedIn.
For you,
because
yeah.
For us, yeah. And then it's Instagram, TikTok and YouTube. Actually, YouTube's kind of a bit underrated. It's actually very good because it gets you out into the world.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of the other platforms like Instagram, TikTok, they're locked down for that community.
Yeah.
Whereas on YouTube, it's public, right?
Yeah. That's really interesting, actually.
Yeah.
I've recently got into the world of YouTube. I don't know what I'm doing on it half the time, but I'm trying.
You know, I mean, YouTube has been brilliant. I don't do it as often now, but back in the day, 2014, 15, we were doing like lots of behind the scenes stuff, and we actually got quite a few TV gigs off the back of it. The TV program was made about our business called The Job Interview. It was on Channel 4, yeah.
And that's on YouTube if we go and search for it?
I think it should be on YouTube, yeah. I think it's called The Job Interview. It's the same people that make First Dates. So we had to recruit someone, and they followed a few companies around, and we did the interviews and all that kind of stuff. It was really interesting, and I've done quite a bit of TV off the back of YouTube, people finding you and all that kind of stuff, yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
That's top tip then. People
Yeah.
should get on YouTube because,
Just put it on YouTube.
people don't. That's
Yeah.
really interesting. Thank you.
You're
Anything
welcome.
else you want to add?
No, I don't think so. I think that's... how did you find it?
Really good.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And I
you.
love the passion part, what it
Yeah.
actually means
To suffer.
to suffer. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Founder in the Chair. Please don't forget to like, follow, share and subscribe from wherever you are watching or listening.